Friend zone relationships. In popular culture, a friend zone, also known as a friend zone, describes a situation in which one person with whom they have a mutual friendship wants to enter into a romantic or sexual relationship with another person, but the other does not do so. It is said that a person whose romantic advances were rejected entered or placed in the friend zone with the feeling that he was stuck there. There are many friend zones on the internet. However, over time, the term has spread to middle schools, high schools, and colleges, where young people reveal their individuality in relationships and dating. Some criticize the friend zone as misogyny because they believe it implies that women should enter into romantic relationships with men who are not interested, simply because men have been kind to them. However, this term refers to all forms of unrequited affection, and it is not necessary that a man likes a woman. There is also a connection between this and the good guy syndrome. The American television series Friends, 1994, made this term popular. In the 7th episode of the first season, the Blackout episode, Joey Tribbiani tells him that when Ross Geller meets Rachel Green, they have a short period of time during which they can have a romantic relationship, although Ross has already gone beyond that. After this time, they will be in the friend zone if they see each other, and therefore any romantic relationship is impossible, even if one of the parties wants to be the lover of the other. Abusive relationships are relationships in which a partner humiliates, and uses cruelty in communication and actions in order to suppress the will of the victim. In this type of relationship, the victim and the aggressor do not change places. The victim cannot get out of this relationship for a number of reasons. Both men and women can be abusers, but their difference is that each of them has a negative impact on their partner in different ways. Unlike women, men are more likely to use physical and sexual violence. An abuser is a term that describes a person who uses violent methods, such as physical, psychological, or economic violence, to achieve their goal. Abusive relationships are pejorative relationships between a tyrant and a victim, accompanied by constant manipulation with money, blackmail, threats, and physical abuse, as well as moral bullying on the part of the aggressor. A romantic relationship. Romance exists in every Western culture. We can see this in movies, TV shows, and commercials. The music tells us that. We read about it in books, fortune cookies, and astrology. Even in sports, romance manifests itself when one partner proposes to another on the big screen. These messages remind us that we need emotional needs and close interpersonal relationships. Baumeister and Leary believe that humanity's primary motivation is the need to belong and develop meaningful, positive interpersonal relationships. In addition, they argue that non-romantic relationships cannot bring the same joy as romantic relationships. We get certain images and words from the media. Let's start by exploring the changing understanding of romantic relationships to better understand this goal. A romantic relationship is defined as an interaction between two partners that is mutual, permanent, and voluntary, and is characterized by certain signs of connection and intimacy. Modern ideas about romantic relationships are reflected in this definition. Codependent relationships. More than 40 years ago, American psychiatrist Stephen Cartman developed the triangle of fate, also known as the dramatic triangle, which is a psychological and social model of interaction between people consisting of three roles: a rescuer, a victim, and a stalker. The Cartman triangle shows the structure of interdependence. The teacher controls, imposes his point of view, does not allow mistakes, and is constantly looking for those to blame. He blackmails and manipulates when he cannot express his anger. The victim forgets about his needs and dissolves into the stalker, with whom it seems to her that she is connected by true love. When she thinks about her loss, she panics. The rescuer feels valued by offering help and surpassing the victim. In a codependent relationship, each person at some point tries on one of the three roles, but he cannot get out of this circle of events because he is afraid and denies the destructiveness of circumstances. Open relationships. Participants in an open relationship want to be together, but agree to a non-monogamous relationship. Thus, people who are in an open relationship may have romantic, sexual, or other relationships with third parties. Each specific case of an open relationship may differ from another, because the terms of these relationships are determined by the partners individually. Flirting, dating, kissing, or sexual contact are often allowed. Open relationships most often occur when the people involved in them have romantic or sexual relationships with several partners at the same time. Such relationships can be short-term, for example, dating others, and long-term ones, for example, an open marriage. Conditions can constantly change due to the flexibility of the open relationship structure. Thus, agreements between partners can change constantly, and the circle of partners can decrease or grow. Friends with benefits relationship. It's difficult to define a friendship with perks. It lies in the middle of a friendship and a dating relationship. Friends with benefits, or FWB for short, is the term used to describe relationships in which people who are acquainted have intimate or sexual relations but are not officially dating. It's not the same as hooking up, which usually only happens once with a new person. When you're dating someone, you usually feel something special for them. In situations where there are benefits, you are merely buddies hanging around and occasionally engaging in intimate or sexual activities together. It's possible for friends with benefits to date other people. Their physical interactions are typically no strings attached. They aren't always devoted to one another. Parasocial relationships. When an ordinary user of modern media, usually television and social networks, begins to form a close relationship with a media personality, this is called a parasocial relationship. Even in conditions of limited direct communication with a media personality, such unidirectional relationships are formed, and researchers in the psychology of mass communication call these relationships illusory. This is due to the fact that a media personality involved in a parasocial relationship with a media user may not be aware of their existence. However, a parasocial relationship can arise between a person and a character from a book, movie, or television show that never existed in real life. Although the term is usually used to describe a unidirectional relationship between a media user and a celebrity. Parasocial relationships. When an ordinary user of modern media, usually television and social networks, begins to form a close relationship with a media personality, this is called a parasocial relationship. Even in conditions of limited direct communication with a media personality, such unidirectional relationships are formed, and researchers in the psychology of mass communication call these relationships illusory. This is due to the fact that a media personality involved in a parasocial relationship with a media user may not be aware of their existence. However, a parasocial relationship can arise between a person and a character from a book, movie, or television show that never existed in real life.